So Buddha said he meditated one time and he held back eating all pleasures in life. Because at the time, Buddha believed that if you ate or had any pleasure, then that was kind of like a sinful behavior. But then he changed his mind because he sat there meditating, not eating, not doing anything so long that he almost starved to death. And then he came to a, what's the word? Oh my God. I just tried to say, well, I want to come out. Not awakening, I just said the word. Just got it in my head and tried to spit it out, and now it's blocked. Oh, I hate this. Epiphany. Epiphany. I was trying to say Iphany, and for some reason it wouldn't come out of my nervous system. I was like, Iphany, but it is. Oh my God, I can't say it again. Epiphany. So Buddha had an Buddha had an epiphany while sitting there starving himself to death, realizing that not eating at all, then he couldn't do any good in this world. How do you help other people? How do you be a good person if you're doing absolutely nothing and not feeding your body? Your body is a temple. You need to try to keep it healthy. But see, I never got that message as a kid. My mother wasn't treating my body like a temple. My body was a pharmaceutical trash can, and no matter how much this trash can got dented, sick, fell over, puked, no matter how many times this trash can got filled, my mother just wanted to add more and more prescriptions. So I never realized that the body is a temple and you should treat it with respect if you want to be closer to God. Because at a young age, at the age of 7, my mother was treating my body like it was just some big trash can for pills and rulers and smacking and shoes and to make up stories about my body and make up illnesses. But now, as an adult, after having my bread and butter be religion, I realize that if I don't treat my body nice, then I can't help other people and do God's work. But also, I'm not able to do God's work anymore because my body is so hurt. But no matter what, my body's been like this for 25 years, slowly getting worse. I had no idea what all of this meant. But after praying for guidance, after praying for, some type of help with this, I was able to speak with doctors. I was able to speak with people honestly who have not heard my mother's fantasies, and I got straight answers. Like, for instance, my mother said that the fact that I lost my vision, I wasn't able to use my nervous system, I wasn't able to talk, I was screaming for help. I ended up passing out on the floor as my breathing slows down. Couldn't feel anything in my hands, legs. Couldn't stand up, move. Couldn't see out of my eyeballs. When I brought this to the doctors and told them about it, my mother said that that was just allergies to the medication. Just an allergy attack. Even though she continued giving me that medication every day, she continued giving me all those same drugs, and I didn't have another reaction. So why did I have an allergy attack that one time, even though my mother continued giving me these medications every day? Wasn't an allergy attack? Well, according to my mother, it was. But no doctor went along with her with this. They just looked at her like she was nuts. So as an adult, I have asked about this, and they go, no, that is not allergies. It's not an allergy attack. Your mother's full of shit. I was like, oh, well, then what was it? Well, if your mother administered you medications and then an hour later when they kick in, you have a reaction like this, and if your mother was giving you medications as punishments, or if your mother thought it was okay to give you extra medications, then most likely what happened is you had an overdose. I said, oh, well, that makes sense because I've had close to an overdose before, and it was very close to the way I felt that night at age 7. Not only that, the medications, there was lots of them. My mother also did not want to get to the bottom with this. Teachers were having me go into physical therapy. They were very worried. The teachers saw a big change in my body right after that overdose. They said they brought me into the hallway and asked if anything changed at home. I asked why. I said no. And they said, oh, because you seem different every day now. You're writing your name differently, your arms moving differently, you seem to have your speech seem differently, and it's just a sudden change. We've seen you in this class now for months and months, and now you seem permanently different. But we're going to call home and ask about this, they told me. But then, of course, my mother doesn't care. And then shortly after teachers and doctors started trying to help me, my mother wanted to go to Texas. Then after I told doctors about this in Texas, my mother wanted to put me in New Mexico with no doctors, no teachers. Then she wanted to move me to Maine, no doctors, no teachers. Then she wanted to move me to Massachusetts. And the doctors and teachers only came in as psychiatrists and under my mother's influence. So yeah, my body is screwed up for life, thanks to my mother and father. But I'm got to continue doing God's work, because that is my bread and butter. Not only that, I need to try to keep my body moving, because if I become paralyzed, I won't be able to do God's work. That's my biggest fear, is I have to move back into the woods and live like a squirrel for the rest of my life, freezing to death, getting paralyzed, being in a wheelchair, not able to talk, not able to move. Meanwhile, it looks more and more like a mental illness because I'm not able to speak. If you're not able to speak and tell people what's going on and your hand is shaking too much to write, you're fucking screwed. And that, excuse my language, but you are. And that's why I'm trying to get my father to handle this, which he knows it's real. My father likes excuses like it's a fantasy, it's a lie, he's mentally ill. But all these things have been proven. I'll give you an example. Me moving to Texas right as the teachers are looking into a physical therapy issue. My father calls that a fantasy, that I was in ballet for coordination. The doctors were worried about my health. I was speaking up about an overdose that my mother was calling an allergy attack. And the teachers had me in physical therapy, speech therapy. And as soon as they all were trying to help me, we moved to Texas. Then when I spoke to a Texas doctor about this, then I was moved to New Mexico. That all is absolutely written down and proven. None of that is questionable. It's all on the paperwork. I went to physical therapy. There's records of that. Me going to the doctors and speaking about a mysterious allergy. There's records of that. My mother putting me on multiple medications. There's records of that. Me moving to Texas right as the doctors try to help me. There's records of that. Me talking to the doctor in Texas, most likely there's a record of that. Me being moved to New Mexico, there's a record of that. Me being moved to Maine, maybe there's a record of that. So this isn't no fantasy. This is all proven. My father knows that he made all these choices. But he'll say that I'm a liar, I'm a thief, it's a fantasy, it's a mental illness, don't help him, have him die in the woods. This is my father's opinion. And the more he goes with this, the more I got to hold on. Because what I really want to do is I want to make him understand what he's done. Now, one way to do that is to be nice like I've been for the last 25 years and just give him facts. Just force the truth down his throat. But if that doesn't work, you can always tie somebody up and torture them. They'll get the message. You beat somebody, or you put their feet on some leaves that cause a lifetime of pain. You go after, you do what you like. Let's say my mother gave me pills and then lied to everybody, and she killed herself with drugs and alcohol. Well, let's say I did that to him. He would get really mad, and he would realize, oh shit, something's fucked up with Zach. Either he's gone nuts or something's really wrong. Well, that's where you come in. You tell him, the only reason why this is happening is because of 25 years of shit. Trust me, if it was just like me doing drugs or some fantasy, that's easy. Go get some meds. Go do something like that. But that's not my problem. My problem is I was shaking and had an overdose at age 7. The problem is I was wearing jackets and having problems with my nervous system in Texas at age 8. I was getting choked out and had a seizure outside at the age of 9. I fell to the ground because of my neurological disorder while fireworks at the age of 10. In Massachusetts at age 11, there was me bumping in the furniture, falling down, having all different types of problems. That is why I'm pissed off. And if my father says that this is a fantasy one more time, I think I would break his nose. Because he was there when my mother said, I think it's okay to give a child extra medication as a punishment. We're talking about Seroquel, Thorazine, Epicac, Risperidone, Seroquel, Xanax, Ritalin, some opiates from her cabinet, some extra pills from her cabinet. The Epicac was a full bottle. We're talking about these type of things. We're not talking about giving your kid a Benadryl to calm him down. We're talking about giving him Thorazine, Seroquel, Trazodone, Xanax, Lamictal, Risperidone, Risperidone and Trazodone. We got the Xanax, I said, and don't forget the Ritalin or Adderall, sometimes Wellbutrin with the Ritalin. We got all those type of pills, and my mother's getting them on fantasy. She's bringing me to the doctor, and she's saying me bumping in the furniture is self-harming. She's saying my swimming medal means I have attachment disorder, I'm lying, I'm stealing, and I'm writing my name on stuff. She's saying that I like my toys better than her, so she's throwing them away, so my mother's jealous of toys. She's whacking me with rulers and throwing shoes at my head and backhanding me when my father's not around. She's acting crazy in the car. She's literally shoving pills down my throat. She's literally having me take these pills dry. And as nurses and people tell her to have me take it with water, she goes, no, he likes it. Just let him take it dry. Well, I'm only 7 years old. I have no idea that my esophagus is going to burn a hole in it and hurt for a couple days if I take them dry. But my mother has been told this. Her friends told her this, and the doctor told her this. So does my mother have me take my meds with a glass of water? No, she says my son wants to take them dry, let him. Well, then one day I took my meds, one burned my throat like a motherfucker. It hurt wicked bad, and I never took them dry again, even though my mother's like, just take them dry. We don't have water on us. We're in the car ride right now. She's still trying to get me to take it dry, even after I told her I no longer wanted to. After a couple years, she stopped. We also got me getting sick on Halloween. My mother wasn't getting her way. She administers me medication. I get sick. My mother walks by, says, oh, look, Zach's sick. And then she says, oh, he can't go do that now. I get my way. Then the next Halloween, the following year, it happens again. Then on the third year, it happens again. It happened 3 or 4 years in a row, maybe with one space, 1 year where I might have been in a program or something where my mother couldn't get to my body. Whenever my mother had access to my body, oh boy, did I get sick. And as a child, my mother's saying, you need these meds for life. You're going to get sick if you don't take these meds. You need these meds for life. You need these meds for life. And obviously, I'm sick. I have a neurological disorder. My stomach, I'm not able to eat. So if my mother says these pills are going to help me, I take them. But didn't everybody know or that downers make you down? Depressants can make you depressed. That is very simple, right? Very simple. But according to my mother, I never had a single side effect from any of these drugs in my life. My mother and father never reported any important side effects like I was reporting. When I reported side effects, they doubled my dosage because my mother's telling the doctor, we want more meds, we want more meds. I'm telling the doctor, I'm getting hurt from these meds, and the doctor is getting bonuses for prescribing these meds. So guess what happens when you have a 15-year-old child with a mother that wants as many meds into him as possible, and you have a doctor getting reports of headaches, nausea, and different symptoms from the kid only? What do you think would happen in that situation? Do you think the kid will be taken off medication even though the mother doesn't want that to happen? Of course not. The mother and father are the ones paying the doctor. Plus the doctor gets bonuses if he overprescribes. Plus the kid's only 15, so the doctor doesn't have to listen to the kid. So he doubles up the dosage. And then he waits for the kid to come back and say he's sicker and sicker and sicker. But then I get moved to another state, another town, and I got a new doctor. So then I get sicker and sicker in front of this doctor, and then he goes up on the dose or leaves it the same. As soon as he realizes these meds are getting me sick, I'm moved to another place. So this happened really often. Plus, don't forget, as far as primary cares and real doctors go, you get like 15 minutes a month, and the doctors spend that talking to my mother. I get to say maybe one sentence the whole time I'm there. I get to draw a picture of my father on a piece of paper. Meanwhile, my mother just tells stories. And during these appointments, I'm saying, my mother's lying, stop lying. My mother's lying, stop lying about me. And you know what the doctors say? Can't you just let that go? My mother's poisoning me. giving me pills I'm not supposed to be on, telling you made up stories about me that I know are made up, like the swimming medal. I know where that came from. The orphanage knows where it came from. The staff member who wrote the ZG on it knows where it came from. The kids who were in the pool with me know where it comes from. I know where it came from. It came from my Lego box that I put it in. And before that, it came from a staff members of St. Anne's Orphanage. But my mother's going into the doctor's office telling them, I know that he has all these illnesses because of this medal, making up story after story about me, and no matter how many times I cry, no matter how many times I ask them to stop lying about me, it continues. It continues and it continues. My mother and my father's lies continue to this day. My mother's and father's lies are still causing serious, permanent damage to my body. And I'm trying everything in my power, but remember, I can't drive. I can't walk half the time. I can't talk half the time. I have $0 for the rest of my life, and pretty soon I'll have to live in the woods like a chipmunk. That sounds like this person needs to be hung from their testicles. Me giving him forgiveness and being nice over the phone, asking him to handle this, asking him to deal with this, that might be too nice for him. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe me being stern and calling him and asking for 25 years to handle these type of issues, because I remember at age 7 going to the doctor with my mother and father there and talking about this and wanting help. They didn't deal with it then, and he's still not dealing with it now. Even with hundreds of people coming up to my father and saying, you need to deal with your wife. Whatever she's doing to that kid is wrong. And I mean, I got family members screaming, stop hurting the child! Whatever you're doing, please stop! Because she's about to try to flatten me with her feet and jump up and on my stomach for no reason. She's just having one of her mental breaks. She asked me to get off the couch like a dog. Then she brought the dog on the couch. Then she asked me to lay down, which I did. Then she asked me to lay flatter, which I did. Then she asked me to lay flatter, and I went as flat as the possible body could go. The body can't go any more flat. Then my mother got up out of her chair and decided to walk over and start trying to jump on me. But before she even got halfway to me to start stomping me flat like she would do before, these are the crazy things she would do, the whole family said, stop whatever you're doing to him! Whatever you're going to do, stop it! They all had to say. Meanwhile, my mother is calling real injuries like my foot getting caught on the back of a fence. She's calling that self-harming to my doctors. And the doctors are over-prescribing like crazy. So, we have facts. We got medical records. We got pharmacies filling the meds. We got what my mother said at the doctor's office. We got what my father said. We have all these records going back, and all they say is my mother is making up stories to the doctor. But as far as the doctor is concerned, they're true. The doctor is not going to come home, and he's not going to be at the orphanage when I win the swimming medal. As far as he knows, I'm crying about my swimming medal being taken away. And my mother is saying that she knows for sure that I wrote my name on it. Who do you think the doctor's going to believe? The 7-year-old crying that he wants his medal back, or the mother that says she knows that her son stole this medal and wrote ZG on it? Of course, he's going to believe the mother, he's going to listen to the mother, and he's going to give pills or drugs to the mother to give to the son. Even though it's all some lies that my mother spun. She wasn't there at the orphanage when I won it. She wasn't there when the staff member wrote my name on it. She was not there when I was staring at it in my room at the orphanage. She wasn't there when I was trying to find a hiding spot so none of the other kids would steal it. She wasn't there when I went through my Legos playing and saw the medal. The only time she was there is when I went through the Legos, saw the medal, and wanted to show my brand new adopted mother my swimming medal. And then she saw this medal for the very first time in her life, and she said, I've never seen this medal before, so it must be stolen. And then she came up with another fantasy to add to that. Well, if it's stolen, why is this ZG on the back? Oh, because my son's writing that on there to hurt me. Well, then whose medal is it, my mother thinks to herself. And she goes, oh, it must be the African Americans, because he's athletic and my white son is not. So she's also being racist. So then she goes, okay. And then when we're at the doctor's office and I tell the doctor it's my medal, then my mother goes, no, 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 because I've already believed in 4 fantasies. Now we got to tell the doctor that my son's making up fantasies and more lies. Even though my mother's never seen this medal in her life, I'm telling her I won it in the orphanage. It's my swimming medal. which it is, what do you think happens? My mother steals it, she belittles me, she takes my accomplishments away, and then she has me put on pills. No wonder why I'm sick today. You got somebody hitting me with a ruler, poisoning me, giving me full bottles of Ipecac, not calling an ambulance when I'm overdosed. So yeah, being sick is my bread and butter too. Being very sick. Because from the age of 25, people have seen me have seizures, they've seen me fall, they've seen me go unconscious, they've seen me shake. But the problem is my mother and father do not want anybody knowing what's really going on. So I'm destined to never get any medical care until I just fall into some money. Because all I can use is emergency rooms and very, very cheap doctors. And of course, all they do is go on the computer and read whatever is on my file. They don't listen to me. They don't even spend time with me. The minute I walk into the office for the very first visit, they're already trying to pass me off to a psychiatrist because they read my mother's and father's story. Until they actually fully listen. Once when they listen, they go, oh yeah, okay, so there are records. We've seen them now. Oh yeah, these reports. Oh yeah, look at this seizure. Oh yeah, look at those scars. Oh yeah, ooh. I wasn't always this broken. It happens over time. I started out a normal kid who just had ADHD. By the age of 10, I had a neurological disorder, ADHD, anxiety, and PTSD, thanks to my mother, an African American guy in a program, and lots of drugs. My mother wanted to play doctor with my health. But you think my father cares one bit that he's responsible for 25 years of pain and suffering? Do you think he wants to drive around getting these medical records to prove that I'm telling the truth? Do you think he's going to talk and get us all together, the whole family, to talk about this? Do you think he cares one bit that I suffered this much? Sure doesn't seem like it. All he does is pull out his old excuse. It's a fantasy. It's a lie. You're mentally ill. I don't want to deal with it. That same excuse. But anyways, so my bread and butter is religion. But I would bet that my father and my father's wives think that Jesus or the apostles wrote the Bible as it was happening. I bet they don't understand that it was like 100 and something books originally, and then over time the Catholic Church shortened it some more, 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 changed this, changed that. And not only this, 300 years after Jesus passed away is when it supposedly was written. Now, these are all from me researching. This is from me taking my own education into my hands. See, you might not know this about me, but I wasn't allowed to go to school in New Mexico. I didn't get any education there. My mother tried to homeschool me, what didn't go well. My mother didn't teach me shit in that time. She just wasn't a good teacher. It's that simple. Maybe preschool. My mother probably could do preschool or first grade, but anything above that, no way. If she had to do division or X and Y type stuff or anything that's complicated, my mother first would have to read through everything, understand it herself, and then she could teach it. But my mother would just be like, learn this already. What do you mean? I had you read it. Get the answer already. That's her type of teaching. Throw a bunch of papers in front of you, have you read it, and then get mad at you that you don't know it. And then you're just scared, so you're like, it makes it hard times harder when somebody is scaring the shit out of you and you're trying to learn. And yes, my mother scared the shit out of little kids. My friend, they wouldn't hang out with me. And then when I asked them why, I said, you wanted to hang out with me until you met my mother. Why? Why did you like hanging out with me? You had fun with me at your house, right? Yeah, you can come to my house anytime you want, but I'm not coming to your house. My mother doesn't want me with your mother. I go, why? Because your mother's scary. Okay, how about her grandson? If she was really scary, then her grandson would be saying something, right? He sure did. Her grandson, my nephew, did say on multiple occasions that my mother was acting inappropriately scary and he didn't want to visit because my mother was acting so crazy. And he was afraid when she used to hit me with rulers and stuff and cry. Okay, how about me? Do I think my mother was? Yep, absolutely. So my mother used to scare the shit out of kids, and I was left with her alone all the time, Meanwhile, my mother has a whole closet of pills to play doctor with me. And when there's an overdose or she makes a slip up, do you think she gets me an ambulance? Do you think she gets me to the emergency room? Nope. She wants me to sleep it off. When I accidentally overhear something or say something and then I eat a mushroom, do you think my mother calls the doctors and follows the orders exactly? No, my mother knows everything. She can give me a full bottle of Epicac. Nothing will happen to a child taking a full glass of Epicac, right? You know why my mother had that fantasy that I would be okay if she did this? Because at that time in the 90s, people who were trying to lose weight used to drink Epicac to try to lose weight. My mother was trying to lose weight, and she had Epicac in the house even before I was there. Even before any child were in the house, my mother had Epicac. So my mother figured if she could just drink Epicac like that, if people could use that as a weight loss drug, then what's the harm in giving a full glass of Epicac as a punishment? I'm a 7-year-old kid with a growing body. You destroyed my stomach and esophagus by giving me 7 ounces and forcing me to drink it of pure Epicac. And if you're thinking, well, she must have watered it down or something. Nope, she absolutely did not. And if you're like, well, she must have kept this a secret, right? Nope, nope. She came forward with this many times. My sister, she came forward in front of my sister's husband, my father. But then again, my father was in La La Land. Every time my mother would go nuts and act totally mentally ill, my father would say, what did I miss? What's going on? What happened? Why are you guys all acting very, very scared at my answer? Dad, I just asked if you think it's okay to give extra medication to a child. That was the question. Patricia, your wife, just said yes, and she knew the question she was answering, and she just said, yeah, I gave extra medication to a child, so what? Now, I look around the room and I say, does anybody see a problem with doing this to a 7-year-old? Of course, I say, yeah, that's a big problem. My sister goes, yeah, it's a big problem. Her husband goes, yeah, you can't poison a child like that. My mother goes, no, I can drug a child all I want. Then my father goes, nope, I agree with my wife. And then we're all like, what? Dad, how could you? And he goes, what? What did I miss? What did I miss? He's blindly agreeing with her no matter what she does, no matter how much damage my mother did to me. If she wanted to hit me with a ruler, if she wanted to give me 10 more pills, if she wanted to lie to a doctor and get me on pills, my father would be by her side, yupping and yesing his way, not knowing a clue of what's going on. That is part of my father's problem. He didn't care enough to pay attention. When I was OD'd on the floor and my breathing was slowing down, I just screamed for help. I lost my vision. His wife is on the phone with emergency control. They just told her to bring me to the emergency room. His wife hangs up and goes, they don't know what they're talking about. Does my father ask who it is? Does he ask why is Zach passed out all of a sudden after he was so excited to watch Batman Mr. Freeze? We just started the movie. He starts panicking over there. He can't stand up. He sounds like his speech is slurring. He can't see out of his eyeballs. And now he's at my feet. His breathing is taxed. He doesn't seem to be conscious. And you were just on the phone with the emergency responders. And he doesn't need to go to the emergency room? But he didn't ask any of that. He didn't ask no questions. He didn't worry about my health. Instead, he let me sleep it off because his wife wanted to get away with a crime. It was very clear. All my father had to do was take a look at his feet on the pile of newspapers, and he clearly would see a 7-year-old unconscious who was just hyper to see a movie, who just panicked and screamed for help and then passed out. He couldn't, and his wife is calling all these emergency people, and they're telling her to bring me to the emergency room, and then she hangs up on them, saying they don't know what they're talking about. None of this seems suspicious to my father. He's literally just sitting there, changing the channel most likely. I don't know if they changed the channel because I was unconscious, but I do know he was just sitting there as I went unconscious and as my breathing slowed down. And when I woke up, my nervous system was never the same. I was sucking on my skin. There was hundreds of red flag signs that something was wrong. We got teachers telling my parents something's wrong. We got me speaking up about this overdose. You got me sucking on my skin. So what is my mother and father doing about this? My mother decides to put me in ballet, give me double the medication, hide everything from the doctors, and then when that doesn't work, move me to another state. My father got a job offer. My father said, no, I don't want to go to Texas. My mother said, yeah, I want to drop everything and go to Texas. I want a change of scenery. Get me out of here. Get me out of trouble. Come on, let's go. Then my father said, no, I don't want to go. My mother says, yes, I want to go. My father goes, no, I don't want to go. And my mother goes, I want to go. And then then my mother and father ask me. I say yes, no, yes, no. Is it warm in Texas? I've been having trouble with cold. Yeah, well, yeah, warm sounds good. Then I think, oh no, I don't know anything about Texas. No, no, no. There could be tornadoes in Texas. I don't know nothing about it. No. Then my mother brings me in another room as I cry and tells me I should stick to my yes answer. She asks me what is wrong. She asks me, I tell her I'm afraid of the weather and I don't know what Texas is going to be like. She tells me Texas is great. It's warm. It's beautiful. You'll love it. Stick to yes. And I do. And we move to Texas. But don't forget, I'm a 7-year-old and I just want to feel better. I just want to feel better. Texas is hot. I'm feeling bad and cold and I feel like I'm getting like a shock in my back. I called it lightning in my back at times. But of course, my mother is lying to doctors. She's manipulating doctors, and she's trying everything in her power to manipulate the system that's going on here. And my father is acting blind as a bat to the stuff that's right in front of him. Like my mother bragging about giving her son Ipecac as a punishment, extra medication as a punishment. He's ignoring all these pills being given to me out of nowhere. Even though when I was in the orphanage, that doctor, they didn't think that was necessary. They thought that Ritalin, one pill, and maybe a baby aspirin or a baby vitamin or something is all I needed. And yes, they held me down and gave me a double dose because one of the other kids at breakfast put ketchup in my orange juice and lied and told the story to the staff members that I wasn't taking my meds. So they double dosed me once. But my mother, she like quadruple dosed me. She was having doctors go way up. I was having overdoses. She was giving me full bottles of Ipecac as a punishment. She was trying to lie and manipulate doctors so she could get out of trouble. She wasn't listening to the teachers or doctors that were informing her that something was wrong with her son's body and movement. She decided that ballet was the best treatment for this and then moved me to Texas. So this is very crazy behavior, and that doesn't end there. My mother's acting crazy in Maine. She's acting completely crazy in Chelmsford. She's calling me bumping in the furniture and the scabs on my legs self-harming. She's blaming her own drinking on the child and flip-flopping her answer. One minute she says, I drank the alcohol. The next minute she says she drank the alcohol. Then the next minute she says I drank the alcohol. Then the next minute she admits that she drank the alcohol. Meanwhile, I wasn't drinking at this time. But after my mother started blaming her drinking on me, I still wasn't drinking, but about 2-3 years after that, or maybe it was 2 years after that, I decided to take a bottle of wine and hide it under a thing out in the woods, just to see if they could actually tell if I took one. I'm already being blamed for my mother's drinking. Let's see if they actually can tell, because I'm pretty sure that if I did take a bottle, they couldn't even tell. I'm pretty sure that the only reason why that shit happened is because my mother made up a story once again. And I always admitted to this type of stuff. Like, for instance, I never got caught for stealing that bottle of wine. Never, ever, ever. I never drank it. I never got caught. I went to my father. I went for a walk with him. And I told him, I said, Dad, here's a bottle of wine I took. Yes, I did. I never opened it. Here you go. Meanwhile, my mother's making up stories. And that was another problem with me. I would take the blame for fantasies. Oh, my mother would make up one lie, and then another lie, and then another lie, and I would get punished for her lie. She would say that I'm drinking when really she's drinking. She would then take my Vicodin and swallow them herself, and then blame me that she's stealing my pills. Just after that, I'm just sick of it. I'm sick of it, so I'll do whatever the fuck I want. If you want to punish me for stealing alcohol when I never did anything wrong, I never even touched your booze, then I'm going to fucking steal whatever the fuck I want. Because I already took the punishment. I owe you one. You already punished me for stealing booze, and I never stole your booze. So guess what? Now I get a free one. Now, if I steal your booze, God knows that I already got a punishment for it. I already got a preemptive punishment for something I never did. So, what do you think a child that's getting blamed for stuff they didn't do is going to do? They're not going to care. They'll do whatever the fuck they want at that point. And now I'm still here, still suffering, age 31. I don't drink, I don't use drugs, I'm sober, I can't walk with my legs when it's cold out. I'm probably needing a wheelchair, but it's really hard to get issued. The doctors say it might be helpful, but it's going to be hard to get it. We'll have to run physical therapy and other stuff first. Plus, my insurance doesn't want to issue it, even when I was literally not able to walk. So even, oh yeah, there was a period where I wasn't able to walk at all, and I had to crawl on my hands and knees to get CT scans. I'm not even fucking around. They made me crawl. I'm not even kidding. The doctors had me crawling around town. I tried to use canes and crutches, but I couldn't. I kept on falling down and having to crawl. It was the most embarrassing thing. People were pulling out their phones on the bus, recording me crawling. And then when I got off the bus, I had to crawl across 108's traffic on a crosswalk to get into the hospital and get CT scans done. After multiple emergency rooms, I can't get anything. Why do I have to crawl across traffic? Why are emergency rooms releasing me before they did any testing? Because my father says I'm making all this up. He says it's all a fantasy. Meanwhile, hundreds of people would punch him in the nose if they said it to him. I guarantee you that if my father told my manager that I was faking, this heavyset manager would break his fucking nose. I guarantee you, if my father said that to anybody who spent at least a year with me, they would fuck him up right there and then. Why? Because they just had to watch me have a seizure and get all fucked up. They just had to watch me not be able to get the things I want. These are things I want to get. Like, I might need a pack of cigarettes, but I can't get the strength to go get them. Or they've seen me double pay for a taxi, all because I can't make it to the bus stop. They're like, the bus stop is only that far. Yeah, I know, but I can't walk and I can't crawl and I can't do nothing to get there. So I need the taxi, and then these people are going to help me get up and they're going to help me get in the taxi. But that's $30, Zach. I know. I don't want to spend it. That's the last 30 I have. That's the 30 for my food. You're going to spend your food money and eat rice for 2 weeks or eat rice for a week because you're injured. Yup. Man, Zach, you're always shaking, falling, you're losing. It's hard to be you. You need to be on disability. Yeah, that's never going to happen. Yeah, but you have 10 times the disabilities as anybody I've seen on disability. What do you mean you can't get it? Why can't you get it? It's very clear that you're super disabled. You're falling down, you're shaking, one of your eyes blinks out of link, your nervous system's fucked, your stomach is fucked, your esophagus is fucked. Now you got GI and kidneys to add to that list, and this has been going on since childhood. We all see it. Yeah, but my father doesn't want to see it. He doesn't want to spend time trying to fix it, and he'd rather lie and make up fantasies to cover up his mistakes. Oh, so your father told the doctors you had a bunch of mental illnesses, got Social Security. Then when he couldn't collect the money anymore, he basically didn't care anymore about the Social Security. Then when you went to get it and you had no idea what your disabilities were, and then when you looked into it and you found out what was going on, you can't get Social Security for your actual disabilities because your actual disabilities have not been looked into or established, and the disabilities you can receive Social Security for don't exist. Only the anxiety, PTSD, and ADHD. Everything else is complete bullshit. Complete bullshit. Just because you give downers to somebody with ADHD does not make them bipolar. If you're going to give somebody downers and then an hour after they take it, they're down, that does not mean they're bipolar. If you are getting tired or down after you take downers or depressants, that is normal. If you take a Perk 30 and you get a little tired, that's normal. But it does not mean you're bipolar. But if you have a crazy ass mother that wants to leave out the facts. She wants to leave out that she's administering medication. She wants to leave out that I'm getting side effects right after she gives me this medication. She wants to leave out an overdose. She wants to leave out the coordination issues. She wants to leave out that I got no proper education for many years. She wants to leave out that she pushed for me to redo first grade. So when they look at my file, they say, oh, this kid had to redo first grade. Oh, this kid had a mental illness from the beginning. Oh, this kid has all these. Meanwhile, what's the truth? What does the teacher know from first grade? Well, the teacher knows that she wanted me to go to second grade because I was one of the top in my class. I was actually much, much more ahead than most other kids. Came in fifth on the spelling bee, first on treading water. I came in second for doing that little puzzle thing. We paired off in pairs of three, and each of us had to do it. And I came in second out of